You know who was stacked and jacked was Derrick Henry last night.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. How about that, man?
Hey, by the way,
not to be outdone on the same field, huh?
Hey, by the way, how about the back-to-back nights for LA football teams?
Jeez.
Got reminded real quick. Yeah,
Saquon wasn't enough, so we had to get y'all a dose of King Henry.
That was like Pac-12, Big Ten, all over
about
again.
that field, man.
When he exited, when Derrick Henry came out and said, "Yeah, do your thing, gangster," to Saquon watching it, you knew he was going to come on the field and be a battering ram, do what he needed to do. So it's interesting.
Jonas, since you're like born and raised out in Southern California, do you feel responsible for how soft the Southern California teams looked the past 2 days?
That was pretty rough.
Dang.
I'm not going to say I was responsible because I didn't grow up rooting for LA football teams.
But you grew up there, Thousand Oaks, dodging golf balls. 4.
I mean,
get down.
That's a reckless accusation that we don't need to get into at this juncture of the show. But I'll just say this: last night and the previous night, it was apparent to me that while the Rams occasionally can be a good football team, and the Chargers can be a pretty good football team, there's a pecking order in the NFL. And I actually thought about this. If I were to give you guys, I'll just give you 5 teams: Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo, Detroit.
Ooh.
If that's the 5 versus the field, I'm confident the Super Bowl champion is coming out of those 5.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's a separation between those teams and everybody else in the NFL.
But I will say this. I mean,
sorry to Pittsburgh.
Well, no, that's all right. But they are a dark horse. No pun intended. If you're looking at this Chargers team, give them credit. It's just give Harbaugh a little bit more time, and it's a wrap. It's going to be the same thing that you saw when he was in San Fran. It's going to be the same thing you saw when he was at Michigan. Like, if he's this far along right now in year 1, that's pretty scary because they stood toe-to-toe with Baltimore. Now, Baltimore got the best of them, but they did stand toe-to-toe. They did lose J.K. Dobbins during the game. That certainly played a part in what they were trying to do game plan-wise. Early on, I mean, it was an evenly well-matched game. I thought that both quarterbacks played at a high level. I thought, as it was mentioned, I don't know who it was. Who was it? Maybe it was his boy Ryan Clark. Said that he would have Herbert would have the opportunity on a national platform to show how special of a quarterback he is, with everybody probably looking at the other quarterback on the other side. I thought he showed
Sounds
up.
like something you'd say.
Yeah, I think it was he rode the fence because he picked the Ravens, but said
was he right down the middle, kind of like talking about both sides like his suits? One side looks like one side looks like the other. You
realize he matches his suits to the teams that are playing.
Yeah,
if you hadn't
really
noticed
neat.
that,
Really neat.
It's interesting. So
it's neato. Yeah,
neato. That's an old word.
It's cool.
That's a childhood word. But anyway, I thought they stood toe to toe with one another, and I think that looking at last night's game, I mean, did Lamar Jackson maybe add a little bit of distance in the race? I thought he did really well. I thought he came up big. I thought that it was the type of game that he needed to have an impressive showing, and he did not disappoint. And I thought that he was the reason why. I mean, there were other reasons, but the catalyst as to why that team was able to go into SoFi and win was the way that Lamar Jackson was playing the game. And I think that, if we're looking at MVPs, we saw Saquon and the conversation about him the day before. I think Lamar Jackson went in there and made a very strong case for himself as well last evening.
Lamar Jackson's got 22 touchdowns and 0 picks on Monday Night Football.
Pretty crazy.
Hey, wait a second. And there's like a conversation like, just not sure if we can try. What do you mean? the guy's we're looking at a Hall of Fame career.
He throws a nice ball too.
Yeah,
man.
Like
Herbert's ball is one of the prettiest balls I've ever seen.
It's a laser show, boys. It's pew 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 lasers.
Lamar throws
everywhere.
a nice ball too, though. He
kind of feathers that thing, you know.
Herbert throws that ball, man. Like would that be considered a natural thrower the way he throws the ball, or is that mechanics and being taught?
I wouldn't describe Herbert as a natural thrower.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, this sounds awful because it's like how people perceive things, but he's like too big and muscular. Like when you're big and muscular like that, guys never get the tag of being like a natural passer. They look more like throwers. Like if you put a javelin in his hand, you could probably picture him launching that thing. Guys who look to be more natural passers are like the Rodgers, Stafford, and you kind of see how their arm, is articulated, Mahomes, that sort of thing. So I just, that's my opinion on it. I think the thing that when I watch him and people talk about like natural passers, the one thing that he sometimes struggles with doing is being able to fit some of those touch passes in certain windows. And it's probably because his arm is so darn strong. I mean, he literally just is like, yeah, I'm going to have to tone down this fastball a little bit to get it in there, Whereas other guys, just do a better job of being able to articulate their arm or the throw to be able to fit and shape the throw to the window. So if that makes any sense whatsoever.
No, it does.
Probably, okay.
Yeah.
Felt bad for Quentin Johnson last night. He
got the case of the drops again, huh?
Dang.
Must have taken those. He was having a great year with that. And it's like he took his contacts out or something. I'm not sure what happened.
And then he gets on.
It was like a big third down too, right?
He gets on Monday Night Football. Like everyone had thought he'd turned a corner. That they'd moved on from.
He would have been able to turn the corner.
And then last night he just all of a sudden starts dropping the football, and I think Troy Aikman was making the point that listen, they for cap reasons had to move on from Mike Williams, from Keenan Allen, and so they're relying on these guys, and they did not have a great game last night, and
yet they still were only a touchdown away from the game. And listen, it was a late touchdown, and they weren't going to win the game at that point, but they were competitive. I didn't look at the game and feel like the Chargers were overmatched, outmatched. I think that you saw two mirror images of a team, from the coaches to the personalities of the team, which is we're going to be hardcore up front, we're going to run the ball, we're going to play defense, we're going to get after the quarterback. We have a mobile quarterback, one more mobile than the other one. They both could throw. They tried to get downfield, but for the most part, they were going to play the run and not make a mistake. You clearly saw two coaches who come from the same thought process of the coaching tree, the Harbaugh coaching tree that they come from. We are not going to make any major mistakes. We are going to run the ball. We are going to try to unlock our plays on second and third down. Put ourselves in fourth down, four down positions to get the first down, and we're going to play 4 quarters. What that leads to point-wise, we'll see what it is, but hopefully our strategy leads to us having more points than the other team by the time we get done doing this strategy. They did it the entire game. They did not get out of personality not one time during the course of that game. I thought it was a cool game to watch. I don't know about everybody else, but I thought there were some real entertaining moments. I mean, what Lamar Jackson did on his first touchdown run, where he did the high school stop. When Justin Herbert got in for the first time and he did his run out of the end zone, and you knew that these guys were accepting the challenge of dueling against one another on the field. I thought that was what Monday Night Football is made of. I thought that was a really good matchup for people to get. By the way,
for people who are watching the Manning cast, some shots were taken. Some shots were fired.
I didn't watch it. Yeah, I didn't see the Manning cast. What happened on from who? Belichick?
I'd go check out. There's some highlights from it, but I'm starting to notice that. Belichick was point things out about the Ravens. This is what they do. This is the illegal formations. This happens throughout the year. It's been what they are. Vrabel had some comments. Mike Vrabel was on there. It's just, man, it's turned into a bit of a roast, I feel like, at times, which is perfectly fine. Like, that is probably a window at times into a little bit of a locker room, even though it's really not. There's still elements of it that you see where you get a little bit of a roast, depending on the guest, I guess. But it was pretty funny to watch.